So I honestly don't know if I have a lot to say for today's video. I almost always surprise myself. So we'll see what happens. Almost everything I'm doing right now is just getting more in touch with the truth, with the sense of truth. Getting grounded in the body. Slowing down and feeling the stillness that is in each moment and that surrounds everything. I'm not yet in a position where I can run with my analytic thoughts and have the same depth that I want, the same grounding, the same rooting. I can run just as I always have. I imagine that for those of you who know me well, or have been watching a lot of these videos, the way I'm, particularly in the first bit of this video, the way I was coming across having a little bit of extra halting to it. Just sort of blankly staring at the camera. Not so much blank. I feel very aware of where I'm looking. And what I'm doing here is, I've discussed this in a lot of videos, and I find myself not wanting to give all of the context. I don't want to put that kind of energy into it right now. A couple of days ago I described about what's involved in answering koans, at least in my view. The difference between going down into experience and up into thought. And this business of going down into experience, I mean, that whole idea, it's possible to take that whole idea down into experience versus up into thought as a thought. What does it mean to live that distinction? To have that be utterly clear, like the way I can distinguish between my fingers. That's not a concept. It's an immediate sense. It's something that I use in the act of existing. I live in answer to this question. How do I live the distinction? Well, I do it like this. I am here. Using that as kind of grounding, I can orient. I still have this gravitational pull, this strong tug towards mentally examining things. I noticed myself being tempted to find an idea for me to offer. I was going to, like, my impulse was to start talking about what is real and describe ontologies, and there's a bit of philosophy there that I think can be very useful. But from where I was coming from, there was too much agitation. And being with the agitation matters more. So I'm currently digesting a lot of energy, The material I talked about in my last video where I was noting, oh, there is something in how I relate to truth. Me personally, how I personally relate to truth. My essence. There's something about my essence that has more fire in it than I had noticed before. And that actually, it worked me basically all night, being with that, feeling that getting into my body. This morning I lived that, the whole realm of the eternal, of stillness, of clear knowing, with the fire. I don't mentally understand it yet. I feel it. I can feel it very clearly. I suspect, it's hard to see myself from the outside, but I suspect that the thing that I'm pointing at here when I'm talking about the fire is something that others experience as among other things, the kind of intensity and excitement that I get, the sense of this idea, this right here. It's not just, here is a fact, that fact is true. It's this matters. That sense of that extra boost. That's how I live. It's how I am. It's how I relate to what truth is. So when I share it, that's what comes across. And noticing, oh, my body isn't yet well suited. It's okay, but it's not well suited for channeling all of that energy, for holding and embodying that way of being. So this morning, I did a lot of exercise. It's a type of exercise I've done a lot, of variation on Qigong, of Chinese movement practices. I don't claim to have been trained properly, so I don't know how Chinese they really are, but it's sort of Chinese inspired. It's feeling the movements of energy in my body and using that to govern how I move my body and what sort of resistance I'm pushing against. And that worked me very hard. So what does it mean? Well, if I start answering that, I get lost. But I can answer it like a koan. I can see directly what I'm doing. I'm digesting these energies. I'm integrating them. I'll have a lot more to say, and it'll be very clear. In a bit. There's a part of me that didn't even want to show up for a live stream today. In this case, it was because I was actually concerned that what today would be is me sitting here just staring at the camera going, I am here. That concern is still coming from these little tugs that I can feel, mostly in my heart, of, am I entertaining properly? Am I giving compelling performances? Balancing between the enjoyment of performance and the tug towards making sure I get validation from them. And tracking that difference in me is part of the process. But in particular, that process being tracked by going up into the mind, up into analysis, up into, well, does this have the right signs of this, and how do I navigate this, as opposed to, when I go up into the mind, I get very scattered, I get very confused. When I go down, I anchor, and then the thoughts become useful or usable. So I am anchoring an energy right now. And I hope that you can feel in what I am saying that when I'm talking about an energy, I'm describing something about a lived experience. I would love to have a better word for it than energy. This may be what sticks, which is a little unfortunate. But a kind of movement, the same way that the feeling of when listening to some kind of upbeat music fills you with energy. Of course, obviously, it doesn't fill you with energy. I mean, in a literal sense, I guess the sound waves are impacting your body. It's not physics energy, but something happens. And there's like this movement. Right? Movement of what? It's not just of the body. There's something going on in the lived experience. All of these energies have the kind of quality, the energy of care or of worry, the vibes of reggae versus metal as a music genre. So how much is this body wearing truth? How much is this body wearing, expressing, manifesting as this body's relationship to truth? That's less paradoxical than it sounds. There's self-reference there, but it's not a contradiction. How is this body expressing this body's relationship to truth. Okay? So this process of deepening the embodiment, not as an intellectual question, but just being with the experience, going down, and sort of by continually going down, something weaves. It's like a meditation. I'm not spending long amounts of time sitting down meditating. Curiously, I mostly stopped meditating after going to Mexico. I felt sort of like, I see why that's not for me now. After many years of it, it's just, oh, okay, I'm done. Not to say I couldn't benefit, but there are other pathways that are a lot more powerful for me. Noticing when I'm interacting with people, how present am I? Who am I? Can I hold the koan in my attention? Can I go down to answer it? When someone asks me, hey, so what do you think about thus and such political issue? Can I stay present? When I'm sitting down in front of the computer and I'm about to turn it on, do I notice? Or is it just an automatic program running some way for me to be entertained? Those kinds of movements are my practice. And right now, almost all of this practice is just involving me really experiencing each of the details of my body and how the energy moves in it. Can I feel my breath? Can I feel my bones? Recently got a lot more intimately connected with my spine. I feel like, oh, I have a spine. It's literal and metaphoric in a really exciting way. Can I feel my organs as they do their work? Feel each of my muscles. Feel my eyes. It's a very physical level. And if I do this, and do it well, if I answer it like a koan, can I feel these things? What do I feel? And answering that, I can feel the eternal present moment. And something deepens. I'll have a lot more ideas to share later. Right now, this is all I'm doing. Thank you for listening.